Hi, Run Your Story family. This is Allison Gaillard with Run Your Story, where every story needs to be heard. And we have such a unique story to share with the community. And thank you so much, Marci Goldberg, for taking time to be able to share your story, especially about your mom. So sweet. And the importance of words. That was key. So much taken away from that. And the importance of family. And Marci has such a unique story and started off as a swimmer and then became a triathlete. So thank you so much for sharing your story and for sharing the knowledge that you have, not only in running, but also in the triathlete world. So thank you so much, Marci, and that incredible story. Thank you again to Magnolia Soap Company Mobile for all the cool things that they do. We had such a fun time being able to partner together with them, and we absolutely love Magnolia Soap Company. And guys, such a cool thing to be able to go in and have a party with them, and it's very chill, so definitely go there, plan a party, a girls' night, a guys' night, just something fun to do, all the things. And we love Magnolia Soap Company. Everything in our house, from the candles to the soap to the hand wash to the sunscreen, cannot say enough great things about the sunscreen, is Magnolia Soap. And we believe in all natural products. We believe in knowing what we're putting on our bodies, and Magnolia Soap covers all of that. And so for people like myself that have sensitive skin, or if you have skin that doesn't impact you at all, definitely go check out Magnolia Soap Company. Father's Day is coming up next month, and they have great stuff for men. So definitely go check them out. Dad would be happy. And it's just an all-around fun environment to be in. And you leave there knowing that you are supporting local, but you're also buying all natural great products. So you're going to love it, love it, love it. I love the feedback when friends go shopping there and they're like, Allie, now I know why you love this store so much. And I'm like, yep, that's why. It's great stuff. And if you ever have any questions, the staff there is top-notch, and they will go over everything with you. So much fun. Again, thank you so much to Candy and the staff and to Magnolia Soap Company for believing in Run Your Story. And guys, check them out online, social media, and go check them out on Old Shell. You will not be disappointed. Absolutely love that store. So thank you guys for filling our podcast this month. All right, guys, get ready, get set, and go run with my friend Marci and her Run Your Story. Yay, Marci, thank you so much for wanting to share your story and also about taking running seriously. I am so excited to learn about this.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, I'm so excited. So what is your run story?
I started running 20 years ago, or at least running seriously. So, how I started running was with competitive swimming.
Oh, okay. How in
So,
the world
I
does
have
that
a,
happen?
well, okay, so let me explain the short version. So, my twin sister and I, we started swimming competitively on a summer league team
Mm.
1993. One of our next door neighbors, who was basically one of our best friends, she couldn't get together one night during the summer because she was going to the movies with the swim team.
Mm.
So the next summer, she was 6, my twin and I were like 8. And our friend Brittany told us, yeah, I can't hang out going to the movies with the swim team. We got jealous. So we started swimming, summer
Okay.
league. Yeah, that was 1993. And I grew up in Maryland. I grew up outside Washington, D.C. And then in 97, right after my twin and I had our bat mitzvah, our dad's job moved us to the Dallas, Texas area.
Wow, okay.
So Texas was a big deal swim state at that point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the DC area, Michael Phelps hadn't popped onto the scene yet.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So Maryland wasn't a swimming state, but Texas was. And so my sister and
Interesting.
I, we swam. Yeah. So we had swam summer league here in Maryland and right outside of DC. And then we moved to one of the big suburbs in Dallas. And we swam. We did year round. We did high school. We did some summer league. We did that 8th grade through high school. We were swimming. And then it was my freshman year of college. My twin sister and I went to the same school.
Mm.
And we didn't do any competitive swimming that year. but we just went to the recreation center and swam. And then my sophomore year, my twin sister decided to transfer because she didn't want to be in Texas anymore, and understand that. So she actually transferred to where my parents went to school, where they met. And she went to Ohio University in Athens for her sophomore through senior year. I stayed at the University of North Texas. And at that time, they had a collegiate swim team, and it was building. The program was building. And so my sophomore year, I was like, okay, I'm going to do masters, like masters swimming, which is 18 and over. And the girl who did the masters swim team told me that I wasn't a good enough swimmer. And I had already started thinking about doing triathlon at that point, a few years before that, when triathlon made its debut in the Olympics in Sydney in 2000. Fun fact, one of the hot spots for racing in the Dallas area was where they had the first ever Olympic trials for Team USA for triathlon.
How fun!
Yeah, so before I decided in January of 2004, my spring semester of my sophomore year, my twin sister and I would do a Pullman 5K race for the cures. Our mom would walk and chat with all of our teachers and all that fun stuff. My sister Julie wasn't really much of a runner, but I remember I was like, okay, I think I could go 30 minutes. And I ran off from her and she was mad, and it's okay, it's cool. But I went anyways. And so I was like, that was fun. And so I didn't really take running seriously. I just every summer did the Komen race for the Cure 5K. And my dad is a cyclist. And so I would always go and ride with him on my little hybrid. But then it was 2004 that I decided, because of one of the coach's comments, the master's coach, I was like, you know what? Forget this. I wasn't really enjoying swimming because I knew I didn't have the talent. But that's because I didn't put in the effort. So, okay, yeah, I'm to blame that I could have, I actually wanted to swim 3 times a day. I probably could have had some talent, but I was like, I don't want to make swimming my life. So I did my first triathlon in March 13th, 2004.
Wow.
So that's when basically I started taking running seriously, was when I did my first triathlon. So this triathlon, it was a pool swim. It was in Athens, Texas. So it's middle of Texas, but it's toward the east. A lot of people know that area of Texas thanks to that Netflix documentary called Cheer, because where one of the colleges was right by where I actually did my first triathlon. And so it was a 300-yard pool swim. So it was 12 lanes of the pool, and you just zigzag, snake swim through the lane. You go down one side, you come back the other side, you go under the lane, do that. Then it was a 14-mile bike ride, and then a 5K run. And I just remember getting to that run and being like, oh my God, what am I doing? But then I finished and I was like, oh my gosh, when's the next one?
Wow.
And I remember telling my parents that I'm never doing more than a sprint triathlon. I'm never doing more than a 5K run. Yeah. Never say never.
Yes.
So basically my running story started with competitive swimming. And because I just couldn't find joy in swimming in Maryland, where I'm back now, I've been back here for a while, it was just fun. And then I got to Texas and it was big deal, got to be a great swimmer. And I knew I didn't have the talent. I didn't really care to put in the work to have the talent. So I was like, whatever. So that's how my running story got started. My running story started when I was 9, and actual taking running seriously didn't happen until I was almost 20.
So let's talk about what got you into blogging and creating Taking Running Seriously. What is the story behind that?
Okay, so I graduated college from the University of North Texas in May of 2007. And I had already done a few half marathons, a bunch of 10Ks, some half marathons. I'd done one full marathon.
Wow.
And I was eyeing an Ironman, a full Ironman. So I actually used quite a bit of my graduation. Well, back then Ironmans were not expensive. That was 2008 when I did my first one, my first of 3. So I used some of my graduation money, and I kept it on the down low that I was going to do a full Ironman. And I wanted to document
Mm.
my training. My training started October of 2007 for a race that was going on in end of June 2008.
Okay.
Because I knew it was going to be a build
Sure.
phase, or
Mm-hmm.
not a build phase, but like all those phases. Like it's the first time I ever had a triathlon coach. And so I wanted to document my journey getting ready for my first Ironman, which was a big deal for me. And all the different ways I broke it to my family, my mom, my dad, my twin sister at the time. They were all just like the weirdest ways. But I wanted to document the ups and the downs. And so I'm actually really serious about blogging because it's my 20th season of running and triathlon. But I wanted to document the journey.
Mm.
So I started blogging, and I'm not a great writer, but I really found my creative outlet writing.
Mm.
So I've just been keeping the blog. I've changed it up. I've gone back to, I actually went to my first ever blog post, which was sometime in October of 2007. And I'm just going through the blog post, and I blogged about some of the weirdest things, like my swim cap collections and it's crazy. Some things I blogged about. So yeah, so I started blogging just to document my journey to an Ironman, which I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. Yeah, I've swam open water, but never 2.4 miles in open
Mm.
water. I've done a handful of century rides, but 112 miles. Hmm, okay, we'll see how that goes.
Right.
And then obviously by the time I did Ironman Coeur d'Alene in Idaho in 2008, I had run two marathons.
Wow.
Both were in Dallas because I was down there full of the time. And I was like, let's see if I can put all three of these together and finish under 17 hours, which is the time limit.
Wow.
And so, yeah.
That is incredible. As somebody that has done sprint triathlons, because I am nowhere near your
Mhm.
level, I just love that so much. And I love how your run story began because my son was a competitive swimmer. And now he's transitioned. Now he's with cross country and
Oh,
track in college. So that's so funny. That
okay.
is so much of his story, too. I love that.
Yeah, I guess in a lot of ways, swimming just got boring.
Mm,
But then because of triathlon, now because my twin sister and I, we've shared competitive swimming even when we were in different states and different time
hmm.
zones. We've always shared competitive swimming. That's been our thing. So it's the weirdest thing how the competitive swimming thing just turned into, okay, well, I used to love swimming when I was younger. It was so fun. And then it
Hmm.
was super competitive. And I knew I wasn't talented enough, but I didn't really care about putting in the work.
Right.
And then triathlon came about, and then all of it created different journeys for me.
Mm.
In swimming, not so much cycling, because I don't bike race or anything, but I like riding my bike mostly. But like running, it's just like, oh my gosh, I never thought I'd love running so much. I've gone
Mm.
through my phases of where I
Sure.
love running and where I hate running.
That's right.
But I also have that phase. I've also had that phase with swimming. I've had that phase with triathlon,
Mm.
but I really love running a lot.
Mm.
This is a standalone.
Yeah.
That's my favorite, but then it also depends on the distance of a triathlon. And running is not my favorite part of a triathlon
Okay.
because that's where I really struggle.
Mm. I
But
gotcha.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in your defense too,
So
running's the last thing you do in a triathlon. So it's also the energy expenditure is just not there anymore.
I know, and especially when it's Ironman Lake Placid 2016, which was a redemption to get
Mm.
to that finish line or to get to the Olympic oval for the finish line in from 2010 when well, that was a sad story.
Man. Okay.
But
Yeah, go ahead.
but just for me, running a marathon after swimming, okay, whatever. But then spending over 8 hours climbing up mountains, yeah, and then have to go run a marathon and do most of it in the dark. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't recommend it.
So
So,
I am
okay. Let's
sure,
move on.
yeah, right. I am sure that there are some lessons that you've learned from both running and triathlons. So what are some of those?
There's actually a lot, which I'm actually going to be putting up on a blog post
Mm.
soon about 20 things learned from running and also triathlon.
Oh, that's so good.
But I think Yeah, I guess as far as a big lesson that I've learned, for me, it's really finding the joy and happiness.
Mm,
I've gone through phases with triathlon, with running, with everything of not having any joy of doing it because I'm an age grouper, I'm an amateur. I'm not getting paid to do this. I'm
right.
paying to do this.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's for me finding the joy in pushing myself and getting running paces that I haven't seen in 12 years, 10, 12 years
Mm, mm-hmm.
for me. Because I was younger, I was faster, and now I'm getting back. I'm not all the way back, but I'm getting back there with the pace. But a lot of times I'm going off of how I feel and just knowing that, okay, I completed a workout with some speed intervals. I may have not hit those actual intervals on the dot, but my body felt like it was pushing, and that is the fastest I could have gone. That's the most I could have put out there. And I'm proud of myself. I got out and ran, whether it's a treadmill run early morning, treadmill run late at night, or even just after a long day of work. So it's just like finding the joy and just getting to do this. And I've had very few injuries in the past 20 years. So the fact that my body has withstood all of the pounding
Mm,
on the
sure,
pavement because
yeah.
I don't do trails, just that like I'm able to actually still do this. So yeah, that's probably the biggest lesson learned is just finding the joy and
Mm.
finding my why and going from there.
That is so, I love that. And I think I think you nailed it because we can get burned out so much on running when we focus on one thing, whether it's, oh man,
Yep.
let's say you talked about like the pace. Oh, I can't get that pace or I can't get that mileage
Yep.
when, as you
Yep.
said, we need to focus on our why and then, hey, we get to
Yep.
do this. You find that fire inside and say, this is why I'm doing this.
Yeah, and for me, it's also the fact that I'm still able to do this
Sure.
because 20 years is a long time for running. And it's just amazing that I'm still doing it
Mm-hmm.
and that my body's able to. Because I have friends who I made at points who aren't doing it, whether maybe it's because they can't because of a health condition or
Sure.
just because it just doesn't suit them. It doesn't bring them any happiness.
Mm,
So
yeah.
I'm just grateful that I'm able to do this and I can do this.
Mm, that is so good. Let's talk about a favorite race. So it could be a standalone run, as you said, or it could be a triathlon, or it could be both.
Oh, my favorite race was the Pittsburgh Marathon in 2011. It
Mm.
was Mother's Day 2011. That was my first Mother's Day without my mom.
Oh,
And she was from Pittsburgh,
mm,
and she wasn't planning on coming to the Pittsburgh Marathon. My mom's still has some family up there, but my mom had passed away suddenly at the end of April. It
mm,
was just scary as I can't even, I still, 13 years later, can't think about it.
sure.
So originally I was just going up to do Pittsburgh because, oh, it's Pittsburgh. This is where mom grew up. And because it was a few weeks after her sudden death, that it was like, okay, well, this is for mom.
Mm,
And mom loved Pittsburgh.
mm,
She loved everything growing up there. She loved everything about it, whether it was the sports teams or just, it was just a special place to her. And for me, always going up there and seeing Pittsburgh in a way that I've never
mm,
seen it. So for it to be on Mother's Day, the
mm.
first Mother's Day without my mom, that's probably been my favorite race. And my mom was a big Pittsburgh Pirates baseball fan, Pittsburgh Steelers football fan, the Pittsburgh Penguins. Well, when my dad and her moved to DC, well, the Penguins were gone.
Mm.
Yay! And Capitals fans for hockey. But I remember coming over the Roberto Clemente Bridge and I saw Heinz Field, which is where the Steelers played. And then we made a right and we finished in front of PNC Park, which is where the Pirates played.
Oh,
And PNC Park is one of my favorite Major League ballpark, and I probably was one of my mom's too. So that was probably my favorite race just because of the timing of it happening, even though she wasn't going to be there.
mm-hmm.
She had seen a month and a half before I'd done what is now the Rock and Roll DC
Mm,
marathon, even though it doesn't have a marathon anymore, but it was the SunTrust National Marathon. And that was the last race she ever saw me do.
mm,
But Pittsburgh because it was the first big race that I did after she died suddenly, and it was the first Mother's Day without her. It was just very special, and so it is my favorite race, hands
Mm.
down.
What a story. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's talk about going into routine. What does your pre-race routine look like?
Pre-race routine. So I'm one of those, I have like my gear laid out the night before. And then I have everything out because you never know if the weather's going to be
That's right.
accurate 12 hours
That's
before.
right.
And then it's going to be different 5 hours before when you wake up. So I have all my stuff laid out. And I have a tote that I have like all my running stuff, whether I need a smaller one or a bigger one.
Mm.
And I have my race number. If I pick up my packet early, get to have the race number on my race belt first. And I have whatever laid out gear wise. Last thing that I do as far as the gear that I'm wearing, it's my compression, especially doesn't matter long or short distance. That goes on last for some reason. I don't know why. But just I always have my gear laid out the night before. And then when I look at the forecast that race morning and I start obsessing, okay, do I really need the gloves? Do I not need the gloves? Do I put the light running gloves, the medium gloves, the heavy gloves? And then once I put whatever I'm going to wear race day, and then if I have to put layers over for the cold morning, put that on, I'll put everything in the bag. And then I'll just repack and unpack and repack like a million times before I leave for the race. And yeah, it's pretty simple. I just have everything prepared the night before, and then I just obsessively check the forecast when I get up and look at the hourly forecast.
That
But
is
I'm not
fantastic.
the only one that does that.
No.
Yeah.
That
So,
is fantastic.
yeah. Yeah. But as far as pre-race meal, I always have to have oatmeal when I get up.
Oh, okay.
For some reason, I like oatmeal, whether it's a triathlon or a road running race. I have to have oatmeal in the morning for breakfast when I get up.
Okay.
I'll usually have a bagel or a roll to eat on the way. But yeah, that's also part of the routine. I always have oatmeal.
Interesting. Let me ask you this. Do you like it warm oatmeal or is it overnight oatmeal?
Warm it morning of.
Okay. Okay.
And it has to be warm when I eat it. If it gets cold, I just can't do it. My stomach doesn't like it. My stomach's really weird. I think my appetite and my stomach have gotten weirder over the years because of all of this endurance sports stuff that I do.
That's fair. That's
yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about you have crossed the finish line. What does your post-race routine look like?
So the first thing I do is find soda.
Oh, okay.
For some reason, I just need soda. I don't care about the post-race snacks. I'm actually not really hungry once I finish. Well, triathlon, yeah, but a running race, whether it's a 5K or a marathon, I'm not hungry.
Okay.
So I try to eat something. So it's usually, I see a bag of nacho cheese Doritos. I'll take those, even if it's at 9 in the morning. But I always have to have a can of soda.
Okay.
For some reason, it's like a can of soda, usually Coke or Pepsi or whatever.
I was about to ask if there was a certain...
Yeah, as long as it's Coke or Pepsi. I don't know why. I just need it in my system.
That's so...
But yeah, I'm usually not hungry. If there's pizza, I'll eat pizza. I can eat
What?
pizza anytime.
What?
Oh my gosh. Pizza is its own food group for me.
No, what? No, I'm laughing because I actually did a race last month. It's called Double Bridge, and we come across it, and there was pizza, and it was 9 in the morning, and they were like, "Do you want some?" I was like, "No, I'm going back to the hotel to get breakfast."
Well, so I opened up my 2024 season, or as if I talk about season 20, decade 2, this last Sunday. I did a local 5K in DC, and I invited one of my really good friends I was like, hey, do you want to run this 5K with me? And when we met 12 years ago, it's like, James was like, yeah, let's go running. And so he accepted. And when we got to Haynes Point, where the race is, it's an out and back at Haynes Point, he saw this last Sunday morning, he saw all the little snacks. And I was like, James, you run and then you eat. And he's like, what? And I was like, these are post-race stuff. You haven't ran yet. You have to run first. But yeah, I'm not very hungry, but I know I have to eat something
Sure. Yeah.
because the later it gets, then if I don't eat something, at least within half an hour of the race, then I'm not going to eat the rest of the day. And then my
Mm,
recovery is going to slow down and then just
sure.
all goes downhill. Yeah. But if there's pizza, I'll eat pizza. I'll eat it any time of day,
That's
any day of the
hilarious.
week.
Wow. Okay. Okay. All right. What is your absolute favorite running item? You will not go run without this item.
There's a company I found, this guy that does these inspirational, motivational temporary race tattoos.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, it's called My Race Tats. Right now, I'm wearing the Anything is Possible one, but my favorite one leading up to my first race of the season was She Believed She Could, So She Did.
Mm,
Temporary race tattoo. So I think that's become my favorite item. That's like a
mm.
must wear item. And I wear my garment on my left wrist. And so it's either right above my garment. So when I'm running and I'm looking at, okay, what's next? And it's just, okay, I look at whichever tattoo I'm wearing, but it's like, oh, okay. So yeah,
Ah,
the little, those My Race Tats,
that is
temporary
so stinking
tattoos. And
cool.
yeah, because for the longest time, so many people believed in me, but I
Mm,
didn't believe in myself, even though
mm.
I've done this a million times. And there's like obviously a long story to that, just like everything else. And I feel like once I put it on, and these things stay on forever. As much as I sweat, you have to rub hard the fifth day you're wearing it, and it just barely coming off.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's really cool. And so it just really helps me believe that whichever one I've decided to wear, that really helps my mind being like,
Mm.
okay, you can do this, Marci. So yeah, that's my favorite running item.
That is so cool. That is such a beautiful
Yeah.
story too. Like I now I'm gonna have to get some. I like you've sold me on it. I love that.
Yeah. I have on the side of my blog, I have a bunch of links and I think it's running or swim, bike, run
Okay.
related things. I have
Mm-hmm.
Zenza, obviously.
Sure.
And then I think I have a link for my race tats on there. And
Mm.
the guy who created all this, he has the sale going on for Leap Day. But there's some really awesome temporary tattoos, motivational tattoos. So yeah,
I love them.
yep.
What are your favorite running shoes?
Okay, so I always have to wear pink because pink is my favorite
Oh,
color.
okay. Okay.
So obviously my favorite running shoes are my current ones, the Brooks Ghosts that are hot pink with a little bit of blue on it.
Mm.
Usually I have to wear pink, especially when I race. And because I did a custom kit this year, like a custom design,
Mm.
and there was no pink on it, it was like, well, I have like the pink helmet and the handlebar tape on my bike. When I swim, it'll be the earrings. There'll always be pink earrings in case I don't get a
Mm.
pink swim cap for triathlons. But I have to wear pink when I run. So obviously, I can get some whatever socks I pull out will be pink, but they're the no-show ones.
Mm.
So yeah, my bright hot pink, whatever color you want to call it, Brooks Running Ghost. Yeah,
Love it. Okay.
favorite running
Okay.
shoes because they're just fun and they're pink and everything. Yeah.
All right. So you talked about prepping morning of as far as oatmeal and
Yeah.
then post race, but let's talk about your longer distance races. What kind of fuel do you
Uh-huh.
take along with you?
Okay, so obviously, as I've been in the sport for a long time, everything's evolved, everything changes. So right now, I use Crank Sports. I use their gels. I have to have the fruity flavors. I feel like they're thin. They're not like as thick as you, which is what my dad lives by for cycling. They're just so the Crank Sports, I think they're called e-gels. I don't know, but it's what is it? Juicy watermelon. That's the gels that I
Oh,
love.
okay.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's so good. And it doesn't mess with my stomach.
Mm,
Even when I'm racing and I want to throw up or something, it stays down. And also, when I'm doing a run, whether it's a race or even the long run, I can only have water. Pink Sports also makes an electrolyte powder that you put in the water, shake it up, kind of thing. I can't do electrolytes on the run as a
mm.
liquid. I can't do any of that. I just basically go with the gels and the water. So yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
What has been, you talked about your favorite race. Is there a core favorite running memory that you have?
Actually, yes. So going back to my first triathlon. So there weren't a lot of resources back then. There are now.
Okay.
So I get done with the pool swim, get on my bike, and then so I swam 300 yards or whatever it was in the pool, did my 14, 15-mile bike. And then I put on my bike shoes, put on my running shoes, obviously take my helmet off, and I get on the run, and I'm just like, why did my legs feel like jello? This is weird.
Mm-hmm.
So no one ever told me about doing a brick workout, which is where you go from
Oh,
like a
yeah.
bike to a run. There's so many types of brick workouts, but the real important ones I think are the bike to run. And so I was like thinking, what am I doing? And why do my legs feel like this? And like, what's going on? And how am I going to run 3.1 miles if my legs are just going to feel this the whole time? That was actually probably my favorite running memory because I was just like, what am I doing anyways when it came to triathlon? But then it was just like, how am I going to run this? My legs feel like jello and I have to run 3.1 miles now? Are you kidding me? So I think that was my favorite running memory because I still have the photo coming out of transition from the bike to the run of my first triathlon. That was my first ever triathlon photo, and I was smiling. And obviously I don't remember it, but as I think about it now, I'm probably smiling because do I really want to be crying because I don't know what is going on kind of photo. So that's probably one of my favorite running memories because I learned a lot of lessons that day,
Mm-hmm.
and that was one of them. That was probably my favorite running memory.
I tell you, the first time I did a triathlon, as you talked about, and you transition, it's almost like your legs are like, no, we just got done cycling. Why are we running?
Yeah.
And you're like,
Yeah,
you feel like baby giraffe.
You use different muscles.
Yeah.
And now I tell people about this, but back then no one told me. No one told me anything when I did my first triathlon except you're going to swim. And I was scared of the swim because you had to snake swim. And then you can't do flip turns. I'm like, well, then why swim? And why do you can't do flip turns? But then, there are all these things that nobody told me, and no one ever said anything about a brick run. And I'm going out on the run. What's going on here?
That's hilarious.
Yeah, probably my favorite running memory.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, do you have running jams that you listen to?
Oh my gosh. Yes. Well, okay. So I actually don't run with music.
Okay.
Because I want to be prepared for race day and not run with music. But I do have two favorite as far as running.
Ooh, okay.
And there's a story to that too, which will become a blog post, obviously. So being a preteen teenager in the 90s, everyone had a favorite 90s pop band. Everyone was in sync, Backstreet Boys. It was the Spice Girls.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, so my... God. Oh boy. So my favorite Spice Girls song to jam to that goes on repeat in my head is Who Do You Think You Are? Yeah, because sometimes I'm thinking to myself, who do I think I am? What are people thinking? Who do they think I am? Why is she doing this stuff? No, it's just a fun, really upbeat song. All of the Spice Girls music was upbeat anyways, but that's my favorite one as I think about all the music that I listen to constantly. And then my other favorite running jam is, so Melanie C was my favorite because Sporty Spice. The only reason, well, at least when I was younger, the only reason I ever wanted a pair of Adidas pants. I know, and now it's been years later. So anyway, so Melanie C, who's now 50 years old, which is crazy. And so she's had a fantastic solo career as far as music. And from her first album, which was, I don't know how many years ago, there was a song called Never Be the Same Again. And so that's my other favorite running jam, but the Melanie C part of it. So those are the two songs. Obviously, I have a lot of other songs. I have a playlist of all my music and my season 20 decade 2 motivation songs and a bunch of songs that I remember from finish lines or just have helped me through my training at various points of my triathlon and running career. But those are my two. So basically, Who Do You Think You Are by the Spice Girls and Never Be the Same Again by Melanie C. Those are my two jams. They always come somewhere, even in the middle of another song either of those will pop into my head. Okay.
That is great. Let's talk about recovery. Do you have a favorite recovery tool?
So recovery is really hard for me because it starts with I don't eat a lot. And if I don't eat right away, then I'm not going to eat the rest of that day. But recovery, I feel like just like keeping my legs moving, even after a marathon or something like that. Mm-hmm. But the recovery tools, I try to make smoothies as part of my recovery from a race or even a really hard training run, just to get something in my system. Because otherwise I know I'm totally depleted of everything. And then I also, to go to one of the pools in the county where I live and just sit in the hot tub. I don't like hot tubs because the hot water makes me sleepy and then it gets me dehydrated. So I always have like a huge bottle of water with me, but I feel like this helps me relax.
Sure.
And helps me recover. I don't know if there's probably no science to that.
No,
just like sit around on the hot tub. That sounds like a good idea to me.
That's what I heard. I heard like that was a great idea.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
So obviously, for somebody that's not into triathlons, because normally, like for running, a great cross training is cycling, or a great cross training activity is swimming. But as a triathlete, what is your cross training activity?
That is not swimming, biking, or running?
Yeah.
Ooh. Oh, well, okay, I'm going to put it out there. Okay. I've always had an interest in dancing. I did jazz for a year or two before I had to decide on one extracurricular activity by the time fourth grade came or something. When my parents were like, you're not doing a million different extracurriculars. So I did jazz for 2 years. I really enjoyed it. So my favorite cross-training activity is dancing around to Spice Girls music.
Okay. That is really absolutely fantastic.
I love it. And lots of times even though it's not supposed to be swimming, biking, or running related, when I'm biking on my trainer at way too dark, early 30 in the morning, I'll be jamming out to something and I'll start dancing on my bike trainer. I'm not dancing on my bike trainer, but I'll start moving a little bit. But yeah, I think the dancing kind of thing.
Okay. I like that. Yeah.
But it has, and if it's not the Spice Girls, it has to be something 90s pop. Okay. That was my thing. So yeah, dancing. Or as one of my friends calls it, my really good friend Adina, having dance parties.
Oh, there you go.
Dance
Absolutely.
Parties.
I like it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is there a certain race that you're like, yeah, I don't think I'll ever go back and do?
Ooh. Any race that involved running in the 90-degree heat.
Ooh,
which was everything in Texas.
Right.
Everything in Texas. Including thinking that maybe by late September, early October for a half iron distance triathlon, when they say, oh, it's going to be 80 degrees. Oh, yeah, it's going to be 80 degrees, especially when I get onto that run course. And they were all not shaded. Total lie. Well, that was a lie. They were totally not shaded. But, oh, yeah, it's going to be 80 degrees. It's not shaded. And then it turns out to be 105 as the temperature. And then the heat index
right.
Yeah. No, don't miss any of that. I don't do well in the heat, so I really avoid long distance races during the summer months. I'll do training I've given up on spring halves and full marathons because I ain't doing 18 miles on a treadmill anymore. Can't do that. And I'm not going out when it feels like 2 degrees being up in DC. But I'll train for a fall marathon or a fall half marathon on a warm summer day, but I'll be out at 5 a.m. when it's only 80 degrees. But anything that involves 90-degree heat on a non-shaded run course, forget it. I'm not doing it. Because the last thing I want to do is end up in the medical tent with IV bags. That's a great recovery tool.
But not how you want that recovery tool.
It's not how I want it to happen. And it happened a lot when I was in Texas. So, yeah.
I totally
Yeah.
understand. Let's say that somebody comes to you and they're like, Marci, I want to get involved in running or triathlons. What is a piece of
hmm
advice you would give them?
Oh gosh. Probably the one piece of advice is just for running or even triathlon, just find a group, find a local store. If you, okay, well, maybe I don't want to run with other people, but find a local shop, whether it's a running store, a bike store, a swim store. If you want to start trying to build a community
Mm,
and get the resources of what you need in order to do whatever sport you're doing, whether it's triathlon or even just running, getting a good pair of running shoes,
hmm
go to a local running store and see what the gear they have that you might need, getting a good pair of running shoes. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially running because you need an actual pair of running shoes.
Mm.
Don't go to JCPenney and just buy a pair of Nike shoes that are have pink on it and be like, oh, those are my running shoes. And then
Mm.
down the road, you learn things. So,
Absolutely. Yes.
yeah.
Let's talk about some goals that you have. You mentioned earlier about working on speed, but what are some other goals that you have this season?
Okay, so the first goal is so I have a triathlon one piece kit,
Yeah.
my kit that I designed, something that shows how I've evolved as an athlete
Mm,
and just as a person through the past 20 years. And that, there's obviously a whole story to that, but that's already up on my blog and it has been for a while. But just like wear my kit and just be proud of who I've become during this journey,
mm,
wear that kit and be proud of what that kit means to me. I watch coverage of all the professional races, whether,
mm-hmm.
it's the running races or triathlons, and especially the pro athletes and even age group athletes. There's just, everyone has so much gratitude just for being out there.
Mm,
And whether you have the best day of your life or you just make it to the finish line in one piece with less second to spare, that's, I'm working on being grateful that I'm not just that I want to do this
mm,
because it's been such a big part of my life. And there have been many reasons to stop running, stop doing triathlons since probably like 2016. The number of times I told my twin, I'm going to quit, and then signing up for races the next year. For me, just being grateful that I never gave up and that
mm,
I got to my 20th season. And wow, I'm still doing this. And I love it even more than I've ever probably loved it before.
mm,
For me, there's a lot of goals, but I think for me, wearing my custom design kit and being proud of the design that I came up with and taking pride in who I've become as an athlete, but just being grateful and just like, finding the positives in every workout, no matter how much they suck and how many bad words I drop during that workout, even if it's a 40-minute run
mm,
or swim meet, whatever. Just find the positives. Also, my one big goal is I'm dedicating each race this year to someone, whether they're in the sport still or they're not, but someone who has been part of my journey.
mm.
Yeah, so that
Oh,
actually
that's
already started.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah. And even I have only two masters swim meets planned because that's all I'm gonna do because of my freaking schedule. On There's no room to breathe. I'm even dedicating the different events that I'm swimming to people in my life. But well, for the swim meets, it goes to swimmers, obviously. But triathlons, I'll do my first aqua bike in June. I've never done an aqua bike before, swim bike. But yeah, so my goal was also, and this was something that came up probably the middle of January this year when I was trying to figure out what 5K I was going to do to start my season off,
mm,
just to see where my running fitness has
sure.
come from, from where it went to where it's now. So yeah, so dedicating each race to someone, whether they're in the sport or not anymore, or just dedicating races to people who have been part of this journey, stuck with me, for the ones that are obviously still around. But then just there are certain people that have had big impacts and they've been big
Mm,
influences in the past 20 years. So that's another big goal is just to do the dedication. And then obviously like, when I do my race recap, I'll talk about who I'm dedicating the race to. And then on my race belt, I have a picture of me and whoever the person I'm dedicating the race to. Like I'll have a picture of like
Oh,
me and them. Yeah, it
oh,
can be a
that's
really sad story.
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yep, those are the
Wow.
goals. Those are the non-time goals. I have time goals, obviously, because I'm competitive, but those are the non-competitive time goals. Yeah.
Sure. Well,
Yeah.
those are the goals that matter the
Yeah.
most. Wow.
Exactly.
What a cool
Yeah.
concept. Oh,
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Man, you are just so cool,
Yep.
Marcy. Just so cool.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
There are only
Let's
certain people that I'm cool to.
let's talk about a mantra because you have talked about there's been times where you've like, I want to give up, I want to quit this. What is something that you've told yourself?
There's so many mantras out there. Okay. So, and it can apply to being a swimmer, a cyclist, a runner. But
Okay.
on my blog called Triathlete for Life, triathlete number 4 life, and then it says once a triathlete, always a triathlete. So I
Mm,
think that's going to be my mantra.
mm,
I think that's just going to have to be it because I created that in 2007 as part of my blog. Because no matter my swim pace, my bike pace, my run pace, I'm always that type of athlete. And the fact that I've stayed with it when there have been reasons to quit or give
mm,
up or take a break, I'm still here. And
mm.
if you don't like that I'm still here, then go find somebody else to hang out with or
Yeah.
be associated with.
Mm.
So yeah,
Oh,
once
that's
a
good.
triathlete, always a triathlete. Yep,
That's good. I like that a lot.
yep.
And I appreciate all that you've said because I am an Athena athlete. And so
Okay.
you do get discouraged sometimes when you're like, I don't fit the mold of what a triathlete
Yep.
looks like. And
Yeah.
so it was
But there's
actually
but
but it was harder for me to see. And it's so funny because when people are
yeah.
like, oh, well, I don't consider myself a runner, but you ran. They're like, yeah,
Mhm.
but that was my pace. But you're still a runner. And it's taken me a
Yeah.
really long time to get to the point where I am a triathlete. I do
Yeah.
triathlons. I enjoyed them. I don't look like the triathlete, but
Yeah.
I enjoy doing them. So I appreciate you saying that
Yeah.
so much. That was so good.
Yeah, there have been a lot of conversations lately with certain people in my life. Well, one person in my life, but not going to go into that. But one of my friends, he's my triathlon dad. He's in Texas. He's getting back into triathlon, but he's obviously not like me. He nicknamed me the champ because I was always on the podium, whether
Mm,
overall or
mm,
age group. I was always on there. And then there was the time where it was aging up, not as fast. And a lot of times there was a certain person, and there were obviously a lot of other people who were like, you're really not an athlete. It doesn't matter if
mm,
you've been here for that long. Wait a minute, what? And obviously, with athlinks and stuff, they see my results and they're just like, but you used to run 23-minute 5Ks after averaging 18 to 20 miles an hour for a 12-mile bike.
mm,
And now you're trying to run a 30-minute 5K after averaging 17 miles an hour on the bike. So why does that make me less of an athlete?
mm.
And obviously, the discouraged, the whole things with my mind of like being
Oh,
discouraged about
100%.
those kind
Yeah.
of things. Yeah.
Sure.
So, yeah, I am an athlete. I really want to just like, become a lifelong thing. I want to be one of those 90-year-olds doing
Yes.
triathlons.
Same. Yes.
I mean,
Same.
I've seen at Masters swim meets because it's 18 and over. I've seen at Masters meets the 80 to 84 and the 85 to 89 age group is incredible in
Mm,
Masters in Masters swimming, obviously, but that's swimming. It's good for your body.
yeah.
But like, I want to be one of those 90-year-old triathletes. Of course, I have about 50 years to go till I reach that. We'll get there. But I don't know. It's just, I'm always going to be that athlete. Hopefully, I'll be fortunate and I can continue to do this for a long time because as much heartbreak as there's been in the sport,
Mm,
in all of these sports, there's been a lot of good.
mm,
And I can go through my freaking huge box of medals and I can pull up, well, not so much the runs, the marathons, because there's only been 20 of them,
only.
3 of which have been part of Ironman. But I could pull out a lot of my medals and I could probably give you the full version of that race,
Wow.
even if it was 2006. I could probably give you the full version. So the full race recap on why that medal is important and why that journey to that finish line was important. So I hope I can do this long enough that I can be one of those 90-year-old triathletes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but that
Same
would be
girl,
cool.
same. Yeah. Is there a
Okay.
length of running? Is there like a favorite distance that you like, whether it's a training or a race that you're like, man, I get to go run X amount of miles. Is there a certain amount that just gets you really excited?
So obviously at the beginning it was a 5K, and then it got to the 10K, then the half marathon, and then I was addicted to marathons for a long time.
Interesting.
2006 I did my first one. Then 2011 and 2016 I did 4 marathons each of those years.
Wow.
One of the middle ones, second or third, was part of the marathon was part of an Ironman. So you had 4 marathons, but 3 were standalone and one of them had an Ironman to it.
Wow.
So I was addicted to marathons from 2006 to 2018, but now obviously finding more joy with the short course racing. I think right now my favorite distance is a 10K run,
Okay.
at least as a standalone.
Okay.
Triathlon, you will never hear me saying I like this is a triathlon. But standalone, it's a 10K because I created a running goal last year of doing a 10K each month, whether it was a race or just obviously a training run. And I did that to build confidence and really build respect for the distance. Because a 10K is not a sprint, but it's not a marathon. I want some speed, but I want to finish a 10K, especially a race, and be, oh my gosh, I'm exhausted. But during a training run, I want to be like, hey, I could probably run a few more minutes or maybe miles, depending how I feel and how well my nutrition's going, kind of thing. So right now, my favorite run distance is a 10K, and this year I'm actually going to do a half marathon. I said nothing more than a 10K last year, and then the first race I signed up for this year was a half marathon. So yeah. So yeah, right now my favorite run distance is a 10K as far as probably a race. Well, when I actually race a 10K, then I'll probably think differently. But I'd be like, oh, 5K sounds good. But training wise, a lot of my training runs have been for around 4.5 miles. So I'm really liking that. But that's also because 4 is my favorite number. So probably something to do with it.
Okay. When you're not running, what do you like to do? What are you passionate about?
This year I'm going to be passionate about my blog. And not, well, probably it's going to be really triathlon related, but there's also some non-triathlon and running related stuff, but related to it on my blog. But I love reading.
Okay.
I am a bookworm. For being such a reluctant reader until my first job in high school, which was like junior year, my twin and I worked at Barnes and Noble. We were in the Dallas area. Yeah, we helped up. Julie always loved reading, but with me, with my learning difficulties and pending, reading was hard, and high school ruined it because of some of the books we had to read.
Sure.
But when I started working at Barnes and Noble, it was, you're going to have one staff recommendation every 2 months. Not every employee is going to get their staff recommendation put up every month, but you gotta, now I have to find something to read. So that's when, I was a teenager, and so I was reading teen fiction, realistic romance, like teen romance.
Sure.
Not the Twilight kind of thing, but just like high school romance, drama, if you want to call it that. So I love reading. I have a lot of favorite teen novels, authors, also young readers, which is ages 9 to 12. I have a lot of favorite authors of those. And I have shorter books, 100 pages or less. But there's been a few memoirs that have come out over the past few years, and they've been anywhere from 400 to 500 pages. And some of them I've breezed through in 4 hours.
Wow.
Well, one of them. And then there's other ones that, I really want to read it because my twin sister also loves reading. And so my twin sister, she has more of a variety of what she likes to read. I'm always like, when my book pile gets low, I go into her room onto one of her bookshelves. Oh, she likes Kristen Hanna, and she's always talking about Kristen Hanna. I try to read. If I can't make it past the first page, I just put it back and okay, let's see what I can find that's what I like to read. But I'm a big bookworm. Besides, obviously, the swim mileage goals, the biking, the running mileage goals, which actually are not important to me. I'm on Goodreads.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, and so I have my reading goal for the year. So right now it's only end of February, but so far I've read 4 books. So
Wow.
I'm
Yeah.
keeping pace.
Yeah.
But I want to read 24 books this year.
Wow.
And obviously there's a lot of, it's been all teen fiction and the young readers, but I'm sure well, actually I already have a few memoirs that I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to pre-order.
Right.
Or waiting, being on the long hold list on the library. But yeah, I like reading. I love reading. And I love reading. I love writing. Yeah. So yeah.
I like it.
And I also like to sleep.
Oh, girl. Yes.
I like to sleep when I can. I like to sleep when I can, and sometimes it's hard. So to get a good night of sleep. So I'm also trying to enjoy the time that I'm sleeping and not thinking about anything. So
yeah, totally get it. All right, my friend, any final words of wisdom that you have?
Keep on trying to find what fuels your fire and keeps you going. As an athlete, really anything in life, whatever your passion is, just do it. I actually came up with I'm not going to say what the quote is, but my first best friend that I met from college, who doesn't do triathlons, but has been to every single freaking beautiful place I've ever raced. I was trying to find the oldest triathlon shirt that I had, and I found one from 2006. And I talked to Jane. She's still in Texas, originally from Calgary, up in Canada. I told her, I found the oldest shirt from the longest time ago. And she was like, oh, which one? So I sent it to her. And she's like, I remember coming to that race. No, you didn't come to that race. And then there was a quote that I told her, because I've been addicted to triathlons basically since March 13th, 2004. So I came up with a Marci original, and I told her the quote. And she was like, that's great. Don't tell your dad that one. Yeah, so it's, basically, So things can be addicting, crack and cocaine. So I was like, I think the quote was like, damn it, I've been doing this crack for a long time. And Jane totally got it. She totally connected the whole thing. But she's like, don't tell your dad this. My dad, he knows actually that I was doing this podcast. I was going to record this today. But him and then probably some other people would be, oh, great. What are you, what are you on? Like, what's wrong with you? But just find your passion. And, if you find joy, keep doing it. And if not, maybe there's something else. So just do what makes you happy and just keep finding the joy in it. And if you don't find joy, then find something else.
Marci, it has been an absolute joy talking to you. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So good. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for what you bring. And I'm excited to read your blog and to learn from you, especially the 20 things for the 20 years. That's so exciting. So
yeah, that's going to be posted sometime in March. I haven't decided, probably the beginning of March.
Okay.
But there's going to be obviously a long story of why I did that blog post too. But yeah, that'll be in March. And it's really triathlon related, but it can also be used for running too.
Sure. So if somebody wants to get a hold of your blog, how do they go about doing that?
So it's UNT what is it? 2002.blogspot.com.
Okay.
So UNT 2002.blogspot.com. I think my latest post was actually right before my 5K race last Sunday, which means I actually need to update my blog because I've been telling people I'm going to do a race recap. And it's Thursday, and I haven't done it yet. Well, I'll get it up. But and then there's just a bunch of stuff, and I have my race schedule there. I have local shops that I support here in the DC area. I just have some other fun things, and there's some things that I'm going to be adding. So that's where they can find me.
Yeah, I would definitely be checking you out. Oh, I'm so excited for you. I will be watching you in your journey. So Thank you so much, my friend.
Yay. You're welcome.
What a story, and thank you so much, Marci, for sharing that and for sharing your blog and all the information that you are so passionate about when it comes to triathlons and just really, really neat stuff. And so thank you so much for taking time out to share your story. And again, the impact that family has and that words have on our own selves. I say it all the time, we are our own worst enemy. And we have, especially here in our town, we have such a beautiful running community that is so supportive, and they don't like negative self-talk. They are so encouraging. Just appreciate you guys so much. And Marci, again, thank you for the reminder of how important community is and how important family is, especially in this world that we're in for running. And I know personally, having my friends and my family at the finish line, whether they're there waiting on me or they're finishing up their own race, it's just really cool to have them cheering you on at the finish. So thank you again so much for sharing your story. And again, huge shout out to Magnolia Soap Company. Guys, make sure when you go in there that you tell them thank you for supporting Run Your Story, for being a partner and believing in our run stories. They're absolutely phenomenal, and love what they do and love all their products. They're just absolutely amazing. And again, you can check them out online. You can follow them on social media, but I would highly recommend going to the store. It's such a fun place to shop, and you will become addicted, super easily addicted to all the good stuff. It's all good stuff. And as always, thank you so much to Greg Gaillard from Gaillard Tech Services. He is phenomenal at what he does with editing and upkeep of the podcast and the website. I say he has the hardest job, but he would say he has a fun job, whereas I say I have the fun job. So we make a great team, and just truly thankful for him using the talents that he has for the running community to make the stories continue. So thank you so much, Greg Gaillard from Gaillard Tech Services. Definitely go check him out online at his website, and definitely check him out on social media. He can have a fixer-upper website for you, or he can create a new one. He is a man of many talents, and we're so thankful that he's part of Run Your Story community, and he believes in these stories. So such a cool dude. Love him. 10 out of 10 recommend. As always, our Patreon supporters, they are phenomenal. We absolutely love them and so grateful for them, and always looking for ways to give back to our Patreon supporters. They are just phenomenal human beings, and they've taken the financial burden off the podcast, off Gray and I. And so that's the reason why we say this is a community podcast. This belongs to the community, and we love the community so much. And so they partner with us monthly. And so definitely join the Patreon community. Definitely like, share, and comment the stories, because our Patreon supporters, they want your stories to be out there. If they didn't, they wouldn't support this podcast. And so definitely go out there and share them. Share them away. They absolutely love that. So I love our Patreon supporters. Thank you guys so much for making this possible. Mars Hill, thank you again for giving us such a safe place to be able to share our stories. Sometimes it's a mixture of good and bad. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's sad. But when we have such a safe place to be able to do that, and Mars Hill believes in the running community, and they believe in giving us that space, so we're truly thankful for them. So thank you so much to Mars Hill Church for giving us that place to be able to share our stories. So until next time, guys, go out and run your story, because every story needs to be heard.